Here again with Type 40 Live extra reaction editions of the livestream Doctor Who magazine show up on your view screen on Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook. This is where we talk about all things Doctor Who, and these bonus editions are going to be focusing on the very latest episodes in real time and raw in the nicest possible way. Our panel made up from fans from across the globe and the generations, no less, sharing our opinions with fellow fans, just like you, completely live. And well, what have we here? Base under siege. Baseline has the hyperbole been vindicated. The brand new season continued with the well streaming globally. We're here with our opinions now on Type 40 Live. There she is. There it is. The familiar sight of the TARDIS console, now very brightly lit and sort of inviting, isn't it? At breakneck pace, here we are, just as the show is wrapping up there on BBC One. We're kicking off with another edition of our live stream show. Whew, what a week. What a few weeks. Gonna need a long lie down after all this, aren't we? Hello, everybody out there. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks. We'll find out who you are in a moment or two. Hold that thought. We've got a panel to bring on as well with their hottest of takes too. And heaven knows where else it's going to go. So these are casual conversations as we process the latest episode of Doctor Who. So it could be a bit lumpy, could be a bit bumpy, but that's all part of the fun, isn't it, here at Type 40 Live. Oh, we'll see all the comments coming. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, we'll get to that and that and that. We'll get to it all in a moment or two. I've got a few people to bring in. Plucky few, as the series is in full swing now, I think it's safe to say. And yeah, we're all used to all this artwork and all the hullabaloo. Publicity's still a little bit on the down low, isn't it? But we have a whole new episode to talk about here in the console room. Were you chilled or were you riled? This time we'll find out. We'll find out together. First of all, sporting his cap yet again, I'm happy to welcome back Gary Akers, the Retro Doc. Hi, Gary.
Hello, sir. As you will see, there's a reason why I'm wearing this cap today. No, glad to see you. Glad to see everybody in the chat. It's hard to believe it's already been a week since last Saturday.
You're telling me. You're telling me.
Yes.
You're going to need spares of that cap, aren't you, to keep it in the rotation? So it looks like you've.
I'm thinking since it got such a great reception, I'm thinking about maybe doing multicolors.
There you go. I like it.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
very good. So and another week. Another day.
Oh boy!
I hope you've had a good day. The rest of your day, Gary. But the highlight is obviously Doctor Who. But
it is. I'm kind of in the same situation as all of you. It's kind of rainy and overcast here, so I think it's the same way for all of us. But yeah, it's great to reassemble, talk about the show.
Saturdays wouldn't be Saturdays without Doctor Who, whether we're watching it or rambling on about it.
That's right.
The Well has premiered on BBC One this evening, earlier on Disney Plus and iPlayer, of course. We've got more people to bring in right now. Who else? We've got, she's back again. Charlotte Shields, hello.
Hello, everybody. I know. Do you know what's even weirder? Next week, we're technically halfway through the series.
Ooh.
That's what I was thinking after I watched this episode. I was like, God, it's episode 4 next week.
I think whether you're enjoying it or not, I think most people would agree that 8 episodes simply isn't long enough.
Yeah.
You're
right, Charlotte. In the old days, things would just be ramping up. Now, like you said, it's halfway done.
Speaking of ramping up, we've been ramping up for the last few minutes, ramping up to bring him on. Amazingly back for another stream. First time on a Saturday night with his instant reactions as well. Is he gelled up and quiffed this time? Of course he is. Luke Walters, welcome back.
Well, we're going for the quiff competition. Let's do it, Dan. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm being found wanting again this evening, I think.
Yeah. Oh, what an episode! personally, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
I know he's
Absolutely
been-
Wait,
phenomenal.
are you talking about your guys' hair now, or are you talking
No,
about?
I'm talking about Midnight.
Oh, okay.
Phenomenal,
Okay.
absolutely phenomenal. Also,
Talking
Charlotte
about
in the
the-
chat, go to the pub and watch the live stream in a pub drunk. There's
Yeah, hi,
nothing
Char.
better than doing that. Go do it, Charles Rambles. Go do it. Go to the pub, and hello everyone else, and thank you,
It's not
Stephen.
no excuse. It's no excuse not being at home, is it, Luke?
No, it's not. It's not. So, but yeah, as you know, I text my mate afterwards, who didn't give his job role then on Doctor Who. But I texted him afterwards. I was like, "Oh, that was amazing," and he was like, "Next week's also good." And then I did send him the leak, and he was like, "Not saying nothing." So who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Hope you're not feeling blue. This reminded me of the film Blue Beetle, the DC movie from a
Yep.
couple of years ago when I saw this. But yeah, it's been on now. I think it's people are rolling in now as the credits have finished on Doctor Who. Yeah, it's been quite a day. Okay, so thank you everybody for the comments so far. We've got more people who are probably going to be joining us, even for a spit and a cough later on. Maybe we'll see who rocks up, won't we? As we process it, it's all here, the very latest chunk of all new Doctor Who. It's sort of our after show to Doctor Who itself, isn't it? Type 40 Unleashed. What a scary thought, Shots. What a scary thought. Okay, so yeah, what else? Before we get cracking on the actual stuff, what else? Got to remind you of these. Yes, this is going down very well. Thank you, everybody who's streamed and commented on the predictions for 2025 special edited segment there. People are loving that. And of course, now some of these predictions of our Charlotte are being found to be either true and on the money or completely off base. People are enjoying that even more.
It made me laugh when you premiered. People were like, "When did you say this?" Like, how many weeks ago? We were like, before the episodes went out. That's our defense.
Good to keep them guessing. And there's our diary special there on Doctor Who's very first sort of cancellation crisis, all the way back in the mid-60s too. So there's those up and lots more in the playlists as well for you to catch up on whenever. But this is Type 40 live on Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook. This time talking about that latest episode of Doctor Who, taking the pulse to see whether you are moved to tears, whether it's all smiles, or whether you've got them lined up. It's all opinions are welcome as always here. And yeah, we're going to be peeking back into the continuity of the show this time and to see how it measured up. You still here? You still with us? Good stuff. Definitely blink. They might have to revise that in the not too distant future. Okay, what else? Where first? Here.
You're watching Type 40. Stupid tune anyway.
Yes, Saturday nights in front of the box. Well, Saturday mornings. It depends how patient you are, really, I think. Now that this stuff is streaming from 8 a.m. in the UK and obviously on Disney Plus internationally. I'm not sure what time that I think it works out about 3 a.m., doesn't it, in certain parts of the States. I've sort of lost track, Gary, as to when they were dropping it. But new Doctor Who is new Doctor Who, and some people can't keep their eyes off it, can they, Luke? You said some of your mates are right on it. It doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter what the mood is. When there's new Doctor Who that's dropped, they're straight on the app to see how he's getting in, well, and getting her home. That's the overarching theme of this story. But this one really did feel like a bit of not a handbrake turn as such, but a dip back, a welcome dip back into the psychology of the lead character and to the mythos of the show itself, throwing red meat out to us in the fandom for the well. I'm sure we're going to touch on a lot of that as the conversation rolls on. There's so much potential to the concept of this. No matter how much the showrunner insisted that he was trying not to hide it, Gary, it sort of happened in the end anyway, didn't it?
Yes, we speculated on Thursday's show, and everybody should go back and watch Thursday's show if they didn't. No, you were right. Speculating that this was, a return to midnight. And I feel that our show on Thursday really kind of set all of us up, got us in that frame of mind for this.
I'm so glad I watched it. I mean, obviously, it might not have been connected at all, Luke, but I'm so glad I watched it because there's lots of little things about Midnight that I'd forgotten because I hadn't seen it for a few years, which weren't exactly integral to the drama. But, it helped with those moments. To say, did he say diamonds? What was the name of this planet? And all that sort of stuff's just delicious, isn't it? When you've been following a show for like 5, 10, 15, 20 years, or if you've just sort of raced through the back catalogue, this is red meat to Doctor Who fans.
Yeah, as soon as you mentioned, it's galvanic radiation, I was like, oh, here we go. We're into it. And obviously it's like, oh, is there something over there? And then the music cues as well, having the midnight, the music brought back into it. As soon as that music hit, I was like, oh, I'm in. You got me. I'm in.
It was jazzed up a touch, wasn't it? It was given a few more bells and whistles from Murray Gold, Charlotte, but I thought this was put together so sensitively and sort of rolled out expertly as well. I mean, I suppose in a nutshell, Charlotte, what I want to know is, did you have a good time with Doctor Who for that 45, 50 minutes today or not? How are you feeling? Where are you with it?
I was a bit nervous coming into this because I was pretty sure it was going to be a midnight sequel. I thought when the fans sort of talk about something in a certain way, you think we're probably onto something. And with the current quality level, I'll put it that way, of Russell's writing, I was like, what we gonna get? I was so pleasantly surprised. I was so sort of shocked at how good this episode was, to put it bluntly. I was absolutely sucked in like Luke. For me, it got the tension, the dread, the sort of you're scared what's going to happen next feeling. And I feel like this run, and even Jodie's run, hasn't had that feeling for a long time. And what I loved about it was, as soon as it started, they got thrown in, which I thought that's the best way to do these kind of stories. They didn't know what was going on, the Doctor or the companion. They literally got out the TARDIS, but the troopers were there, and then they got chucked on the planet. And then they're sort of trying to get their feet. And then this surprised me, and I thought, wow, this is actually quite a bold move for the show. As soon as they got in the base, bodies all over. Obviously, it's Doctor Who, so they can't have blood, guts, and gore. But the fact that it was just where they were shot. So whoever was the director on this, I have to applaud it. Because
it's Amanda Brodsky again, who directed Lux last week. It must have been the same.
Yeah.
Like, it really made you go like, oh God, this is like, we're already at that peak. What's happened? Like, whatever they're walking into, they're not going to come out easy. Like that feeling, and then the way that they like said, oh, the broken bones shot, like they were very sort of stark with the way they described the deaths. And then you got the sort of I think Rose Ayling-Ellis, who I hadn't seen her in anything purely because I'm not an EastEnders watcher. Yeah,
Phenomenal.
and like
I'd never seen her before. I'd never seen her before either. I've never even heard her speak. I knew nothing about her until a couple of days ago. Really, her age. I knew that she was deaf because my mother watches Strictly Come Dancing, and she told me about a deaf woman who'd won. So I did know. I connected that, but I'd never seen her act before. And now I see why the British public love this woman so much. She was incredible in this.
What I think she was so good, and this is what I thought was, it was so many levels of this episode all fed to that tension and that sort of feeling of this is scary again, this is horrible, this is sort of, the Doctor's gonna have a real hard time here.
I mean, it's probably true, Charlotte, that the Doctor is always the most important character in every episode of Doctor Who, even the ones he isn't in.
Yeah.
But when so much of any drama hinges on one other character in this way, they've got to cast them really, really well.
Yeah, and she sold you the terror of what had happened. She sold you the sort of the confused, the madness of what had happened before. and you sort of felt for her incredibly when she was speaking about her sister. Sorry, her daughter. Sorry, it was a daughter, wasn't it? She had.
Yeah.
And all that.
And she'd had to kill her best friend as well.
Yeah.
That's pure Russell T Davies. He does stuff like that all the time, but he hasn't done it for a while, really. It's certainly not this effectively.
This is what I mean. It felt really stark. Like, that's the word I would use, and sort of taking stuff by the throat again, and not being sort of everything's namby-pamby and fine and everything's brilliant. You know, I feel like Doctor Who for so long has erred on the light side of where this show can sort of live, and this was them fully going back to, no, this show can be nasty. This show can be horrible in the right way. This can be unpleasant. And what I thought was really clever about the writing and the acting, like you said, of this actress, even though she was terrified and you felt for her, there was that little sense that she wasn't telling you everything. She gave certain looks and certain ways.
Yeah, I was
she
never sure
delivered.
about her because of the watching Leslie Sharp the other day, Gary, when in my rewatch of Midnight, and that kind of ambiguity as such, whereby things are flipping around a lot. I wasn't sure that this was a really sensitive sort of, I wouldn't say a retread, but a revisit of a similar kind of vibe. And to the point where, I mean, it turns out this woman was completely innocent, but she was playing it so well, so right on the balance there, that I was wondering, is she going to turn out to be a wrong 'un?
Yeah, and it fed into then the paranoia of the soldiers, of the troopers. So you could understand their behaviour and how they were sort of not listening to her. And when the doctor was trying to get them to sort of be more calm, they were like, no, like everybody else is dead. How come she's alive? Like, there's something not right here. And it made sense that they were anxious. And then I've got to say, this was Ncuti's best performance. I actually am now seeing.
Why
You
they
saw it
cast him.
last week. I didn't see it last week.
Yeah.
I've seen it now. Why they cast this bloke? Because he actually felt like he was in control in bits of the room in that doctor sense. And then there were bits when he was really good at sort of, you said that those quieter moments that they've been giving him. He had a lot of that. But then when he realised what the entity was and what he was dealing with, you got that he was out.
He brought it right down, shrank his performance right down. And I have to say, I do wonder, because I felt this about his predecessor as well, who I try not to name. And this is absolutely, I felt the same way about her as well and what she did. The clothes, getting him into this spacesuit in this way, seemed to enable him to. The clothes could be getting in the way of the performance, and by putting him in something like this, it's as if it freed him to actually to embody the character, to get into the material, and to just act. This guy's an actor after all. He could have fooled me. Where's this bloke been for the last 20 episodes?
What it is, I feel like before they were forcing whoever the production team or the direction, whoever was, they were forcing him to be this sort of cheeky chappy, charisma-driven doctor incarnation. Because on the surface, that's what Ncutis are quite like. So I don't know if they were just going off that. Whereas here, because he was completely out of his element, because he didn't know what he was dealing with, and when he did realise, he was scared. He was utterly petrified. All that charm, all that smiling, we've sort of commented that he smiles Tanton, and all the sort of the honey and the babes, and that flippantness, it all disappeared. And he just had to get on with the job. And I think that's what's made him work this episode.
I had no idea he had this in him. And you could say it's too late in the game now, but my God, was Ncuti Gatwa good in this. And bear in mind that I only watched David Tennant. And Tennant's performance in Midnight, I rewatched that a couple of days ago. That was probably one of his best turns, because he was able to sort of flip the character around a lot. I don't think Tennant ever got bored with the character, but it was very standard and heroic Luke. Lots of running around, lots of being just in the right place for the camera to catch him being handsome. Whereas this, all these years on, the nature of heroism has sort of evolved a little bit. The public's perception of Doctor Who has changed several times, for better or for worse. But I think the character has been, maybe we've got what Capaldi did with it, I suppose, freed a little and then went backwards a little bit too. Here, I think we're back with the kind of performance that Matt Smith would have turned in that he almost seemed alien. It was very impish in places. I'm absolutely buzzing about this. I had the time of my life with it, trying not to gush too much.
Yeah.
But I found this joyous because Doctor Who feels like it's back, even if it's just for 45 minutes. Doctor Who was back. I was buzzing. I was almost moved to tears. It was like seeing an old friend again. Luke, you sent me a message saying, "My God, full of expletives," but
yeah. Also, I know Russell's taking all the plaudits for this. Massive shout out to the new writer coming on, Charla.
Yep.
She did. I got a funny inkling that Russell didn't have as much input into this as he's making out. It's just going to be the story arc bits from what I can gather. It's only going to be the connective tissue for the story arc and stuff. But I think the rule of thumb is if you write more than 5 minutes, then you get a co-writer credit, and it kind of allotted to.
Okay.
So I think he would have come in and advised, and then coming in and wrote little bits enough to come on board. But yeah, massive shout out to her as well. I know she comes from a soap background, so she knows how to do characters well. So massive shout out to her. She absolutely smashed it, and she should have carte blanche to write another. That was phenomenal. Let her do another one. But yeah, Shooty was great. I think everyone in it was great. Everyone was cast correctly and properly, and I thought Rose was phenomenal. I thought I watched Unleashed in the gym when he was messaging me actually, and I was like, you see them doing all the BSL stuff as well, and Shooty actually learning how to do it on set and learning how to do it.
I wondered about the sign language.
Yeah, so he was learning to do it when he wasn't on set, and he was learning beforehand, so he could come across and do it properly. I thought that was great as well. So you're going to have deaf fans now going, they will know the symbol for "I am the Doctor," which I find is fantastic. I thought the twist on her being deaf, not hearing the whispers, I thought was great. Yeah, I thought it's nice to see stuff on the TARDIS again. I know we had it last time, but with Ruby, it seemed very lacking. Now it seems like, oh, we've got a TARDIS set. Let's use it more. So I was like, oh, that's...
The TARDIS used imaginatively, particularly in the final scenes when the Doctor and Belinda get back to the TARDIS, and she's been brought back from death by the looks of things. She's not wearing any makeup or anything like that. She looks very pale and distant. And it's all just very convincing. They stay. I mean, it's a shame. Really, the only thing that kind of marred it for me was that feeling of, are they going to blow it now? Are they going to blow it now? Looking at my thinking, the 2 minutes left. They're not going to blow it, are they? He's not going to say something stupid, is he? He's not. And they held it right the way through. That sense of drama and jeopardy and stakes and menace, all the way through. This to me is. This is factory settings Doctor Who, maybe, but given a real upgrade, a brush of something else, and not before time, Gary.
Well, let me say that I hope the three of you are still talking to me by the end of the show.
Okay, okay, carry on. What's your take, mate? How was your experience?
Here's the thing: I love the blue suits. The set design was great. I mean, primarily confined to that one room, but I thought that space was
lots of texture,
used really well. The well itself was great. One of the things that and there's basically I'll say a couple preliminary thoughts, and then I'll say the one big thing, which try as I might to fully get into this episode, just was anyway. So Charlotte initially said early on that one of the things you liked, Charlotte, was that they just jumped into it. They just jumped right into the story. I only wish they had jumped right into the story, because I'll be honest with you, like 2 minutes in, I was already almost kind of taken out with that. I wish they had excised that entire first scene in the
I know
TARDIS,
what you're
because
talking about
we
now.
got this very doctorish line where he tells her, "Oh, your mom's going to whistle at my behind," something the doctor would always say. We had another close
Didn't
scene,
catch
which I
that.
guess maybe is this the way the episodes are going to start now. We had that music, and I thought, oh, okay, I thought this was going to be a horror episode, and in the first 2 minutes, everything's all Disneyfied and it's a fun romp with them going and changing the clothes and the music. So I thought they should have cut that scene
It's
out.
a Mr. Ben moment.
I
It's going in the curtain and
it
coming
was
back
so
out.
in retrospect, it was so monumentally incongruous that I just think that they should have just stuck with the horror, not done the whole, hey, let's go change clothes again. That was just
Because Gary, you can see the sense in them having, particularly with this arc of Get Her Home, and a sense of urgency about that. You can see why one episode is sort of running into another.
they were wearing
that can also be a drawback though on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I mean, no, I like the idea of connecting all the episodes in a flow into each other. That's fine with me. I'll tell you the one thing that, the one thing about Ncuti, and I thought, okay, yes, acting wise, I thought he was better and more focused in this than he's been allowed to be before. And I phrased that particularly. But I thought, yes, while that's true, we did have the kind of 15th Doctor royal flush tonight. We got the babes, the Hun, the tears, the being scared, and the not doing anything to ultimately resolve the problem. Somebody else had to do it. But I'll tell you the one biggest thing for me that I had to battle with throughout the whole episode, and I was hoping that it would stop, and it didn't, was the music. Every single second in this episode was music. Every second was RTD and Murray Gold telling us how to feel, how to react. In a show like this, silence can be in an episode like this, silence can be a very effective tool for creating tension and mood, but we couldn't have that. I was, after a while, Dan, I thought, okay, I'm going to monitor to see when the music stops. It never did. It could have added so much to the unease and the tension when they're first exploring the room, when they're doing the geography of getting behind it, silence when they're examining the rooms. But instead, there was always something there incessantly telling us how to feel and react. I couldn't get any relief from the music, where sometimes by like halfway through the episode, I was just going, turn off the music. Let me get a break and decide for myself how I want to feel about what I'm seeing. That was my biggest problem. And I've never reacted that way to an episode before, where the presence of the music has worked against me like it did in this episode, because
a bit of
silence in this episode could have gone a long way.
But do you know what's interesting? I'm sort of like half and half agreeing, don't you, Gary? Because at the beginning, I liked the music Murray was doing. I actually, for once, was like, oh, I forgot Murray Gold's technically composing now, isn't he? Because he had this sort of atmospheric, for me, quite alien sound. It added to that sort of tension. But I agree with you, by the second half of this episode, it was back to very bombastic again, very orchestral, typical Murray stuff that I was just like, if you would have just kept that first bit of music in this episode and not done the rest of it, I actually think it would have worked better. So
You're right. It should all have been underplayed, to create the sense of lurking uneasiness and uncertainty and paranoia, and his bombast works against that. At least it did for me.
It didn't. I thought the music was sensational. I loved it. I felt it.
No, I'm just saying, it's just me. It's just me.
I wasn't any more conscious of the music this time than I had been in previous ones, Luke. I'm not a huge Murray Gold fan, as people will know. Myself and Sarah, it's a running joke. She adores the man, and I've been pretty indifferent to him. I can take him or leave him. But for me, I'm surprised you said there wasn't a second with no music in, because sometimes I felt like I was so focused on what was going on, Luke, that everything but the voices kind of blended into the background somehow.
Yeah, same. When I was watching it, I was so engrossed, and I think the only two bits of music that stick out for me is when he clocks on his midnight, and you get the midnight music brought back, and "Toxic" right at the start, the Britney Spears song, and I was like, I know that's going to be Marmite. People are going to love and hate it, but I thought it was great because
Was "Toxic" the track that was on the jukebox in The End of the World back in 2005?
Yes, it was. Yeah, so Britney
was.
Spears has returned to Doctor Who. Yeah, it's like 20 odd years later. Well done to her.
I'd be really curious if you all watched it again, kind of bearing that in mind, to see if you think I was just kind of like, overreacting, because I was just at that point just hyper focused on it.
I mean, the stuff with the kind of checkbox of the current incarnation's little mannerisms and foibles and things like that. I know what you're saying. But my approach, I mean, particularly when we talk about it episode by episode, is those are the markers they've chosen for this particular character. The babes and the honey are the Alonzi and OES moments. I never liked it when Tennant did any of that stuff either, and I don't like it when Shooty does that. So it's kind of, I'm not a case. I wouldn't say it's a case of sort of get used to it. I'll never get used to it, but I can sort of look past it when the general episode is this strong, when everything else is so good. A split second where somebody says something that is a bit nails on chalkboard ain't gonna mar it.
I want to assure you, I did not go into this with arms crossed.
No, I know you didn't.
Having it daring it to make me like it. I don't. That's not how.
No, I know that's not your approach. Yeah.
And I tell you what, finally they've written him intelligent. I was so happy that he's finally had some scenes of not just other people doing stuff. Like, I understand technically the ending, it was a sacrifice again, but before that, how he did like the Mercury and how he worked out.
Yeah, he resolved the pressing danger.
That's the Doctor using his head. Finally, that's the Doctor actually taking advantage of. He knows this creature a bit. He's got a bit of an edge, because he understands how it works, how he described it, that it likes to play, it's nasty. Sort of all the things he had faced before helped him, I think, in that moment to sort of find a solution.
It's no different to when Jabe sacrificed herself in The End of the World again, funnily enough. It's that kind of moment where the Doctor is still heroic, but other people are doing heroic things too. And I was so captured by all of that in the moment. I didn't see it coming, and yet I probably should have done, because it's very Russell T Davies. It's very kind of very kind of trad adventure, I suppose. But again, served up for the particular blend of demographics that Doctor Who does. It's when Doctor Who came back 20 years ago now. It's not something that had been served up to that particular audience then. They're probably a little more used to it now, but Doctor Who hasn't done this for so long, or at least nowhere near this effectively, that I'm thinking, God, I hope more people have seen this. I hope that, I mean, three of us, I absolutely loved this. I loved it. And
I'm glad. I'm glad.
But I hope that positive, I don't know, as I say, I always come to these shows pretty much directly after I've watched them. No idea what anybody else is saying in articles, videos, podcasts, even on social media. I haven't even looked at the comments here yet, and we'll all be looking at the comments in a couple of minutes. So I've got no idea what a single other sod feels about this, apart from the three of you. So this is interesting that we've got. I mean, Gary, did it feel like Doctor Who to you?
Yeah, no, I sense what they were going for. I mean, like you said, you had the base under siege. You have the isolated group, no outside help, finding, bits along the way to kind of give them a little bit more insight into the problem, ramping up, tension, losing a few people.
So you're wearing the hat of a critical, you're wearing the hat of a critical friend in this instance, rather than somebody who's
overall, I wish. Okay. I like the mood. I like the mood of this story. I wish there had been more stories of the last few seasons that had this mood in it.
So do I.
That kind of the creeping unease where whether it's, behind the sofa or you're kind of edgy because of what's going on. It needs to be like this more in terms of this mood. I mean, and I had a few like, wait, what moments where I thought, well, wait a minute. I mean, you kind of have that, in all the episodes. I had that a few times, in this one, but overall, this kind of tone is what I think that it should be more often than not. I just want to say my first wait, what moment was where the doctor, I thought, okay, we're back to the rogue doctor now because he leaves Linda behind in the room with a possible homicidal maniac and trigger happy soldiers to go off and check things. Like, oh, doctor, wait a minute, hold on.
We see Ncuti playing this character on maybe not all of the levels that the Doctor has potentially got, but certainly on more of them than he ever has before, and seemingly able to do it convincingly all at once as well. It's tragic that it's taken however long that it has. I like all the various visual flourishes, so like these screens that we see that are communicating, like the text to what people are saying right in front of them. Lots of little visual ideas like that. I'm not sure. I mean, this is meant to be 500,000 years in the future. I don't know. I think there were still like bolts and rivets on stuff. I wish that sci-fi would resist nailing things down like that with such inflated numbers. Star Trek, Discovery, and all those shows, they've done that to ridiculous extents. I think that's probably unwise. But I think the original, actually, come to think of it, Russell T Davies and Moffat's runs both did that. They really ought to think twice or just not mention what year it's meant to be at all.
You want to focus on the people, on the characters, and how they're reacting. I mean, ideally, the set design and everything should add to it. You want to stay focused on the characters and their reaction. But I do have to ask, since you just mentioned it, Dan, I do have to ask, did any of the three of you, when they kept activating those comm units, I kept thinking that somebody was going to say Riker to Enterprise at some point when they kept doing the communication little thing.
The characterization was not just Russell T Davies doing what he's always done brilliantly historically, but I felt that it was also there were more ambiguities to it. Some of the characters, I wouldn't say they were sort of Tarantino complex, but the dynamics between them were very interesting. I could have stood this to be a two-parter. This is anything that's good, you want it to be a two-parter because good episodes are so few and far between. I'm not sure how much of it is down to Sharma, Angel, Warful, but I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. I think a lot of it felt like there were signature Russell T Davies flourishes in this, but the fact that her name is there on the credit, that should stand for something, and it means that, just like you said, Luke, I'll be happy for this writer to come back and to prove her worth again on her own terms, or with a story 100% of her own, or what. I'd be completely open to that now.
Yeah, to say that Maxine Alderton, she was a soap writer. She come in, I think she did Haunting of Philadelphia and then Village of the Angels. Like, soap writers tend to have a good grasp on people. And people in the comments are going to absolutely slate me for that. Yeah, but they do. But they do write people. Yeah, but they do write people really well. And I know she's only wrote a select few episodes of Hollyoaks, and some other things are coming up. I know she's been like script consultant on Wolf, which is, I think it's Moffat's series. Well, it's Hartford's film anyways. Hartford's film series. She was script consultant on that, and then she's coming over to this, and I think she gets a really good grasp of character. I know we're never gonna know the percentage. Is it going to be 60-40, 30? We're never going to know, but I think the way Russell has been writing, I think it's probably more leaning towards her than it is him, just because how all the character. There's some very interesting dynamics as well. I thought the captain was very good. The guy who's trying to send, the mutiny, I thought they were very good. Obviously, I said on Thursday, I said there's a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of cannon fodder straight away, and there was. And
You're right.
Yeah. I just thought it was a very. I'd happily watch this as a two-part. I don't think it'd work as a two-parter. So I saw in the chat you're building up to the moment of the midnight reveal. But then if you're going to carry on for it, that's part one, and then part
Yeah,
two is that I was like, I think that probably would have stretched it a little bit too much and a little bit thin. But I thought this is great, and the cliffhanger as well. I thought was fantastic. I was like,
what else has the captain been in? Because I haven't seen her in anything, but I thought she was very
me
good.
neither. I know that the one guy,
Well,
the guy who kind of turned heel and pulled off the mutiny. He
Love that
is
reference.
apparently in a show called. He is apparently in a show called Slow Horses on Apple, Charlotte.
Oh,
Yes,
which everybody
yes,
raves
yes.
about, and I've never seen it. But on the strength of this, they were all really good. But I thought he was particularly memorable.
Well, yeah, I think because he could have been very one note, couldn't he? I think that's what impressed you, because he was sort of there to be the descending voice, wasn't he? The captain was very on the Doctor's side. He was a lot more skeptical. He was the one saying, "Well, he's just appeared. Why are you listening to him?" But the thing is, it was very understandable where he was coming from. You completely even said some of his lines that he'd lost a friend, or one of the soldiers was a friend of his. So you can completely understand all of his actions. And I feel like we've been missing that. Characters, you've not understood motivation very well lately. Why characters are doing certain things. And also, I'm more with Luke. I've got a feeling Russell didn't have a lot of hand in bits of this, because Russell lately has done really the obvious lazy approach, I feel like, to everything he's writing. And the obvious lazy thing would have been to reveal the creature, to tell us its name, to tell us its origin more than just the planet, which we already knew about. But do you know what? They didn't. All they did, and this was my hope going in, actually, and I was like, let's see if it happens. I wanted them to have the same approach Moffat did when he did the Angel two-parter in Matt's first series. That he sort of evolved the angels in that two-parter. He sort of gave us more wrinkles with the whole, when you look at an angel, you become an angel. That was new from Blink. We got a bit more of their personality in that two-parter, because we got them talking, in a sense.
It just gently moves it on, gently
gently
expands
just
who
added
we
a bit.
think they are.
And here,
I mean, if you watch Unleashed, you can see the monster on there if you want.
Well,
Oh, I'll be watching that.
but I don't want to, because I actually really loved how in this, technically it was on the screen, but it was so quick. You sort of blinked and you miss it, and it was a bit blurry, and you didn't quite manage to take in the details, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want to have, here's the monster in full screen. I needed that.
I like the idea that it's behind somebody's eyes, or literally behind them, just where literally in a blind spot that we can't quite make out.
Yeah, the idea of it being somebody's back. And I love the idea of, well, okay, the logical thing is you'd shoot the person that it's clearly like captured or possessed, or whatever word you want to use. So what happens when you shoot the person? It then goes to you. So then that's then why they all killed each other in the base.
Because
So
that's the
what
expansion of the mythology that we saw open up in Midnight, isn't it? That's how he moves it on slightly through this character. She's not another Sky Sylvestra. The character fulfills a similar but different function, and that's probably the strength in this. This is as a sequel, never mind as an episode of Doctor Who, as a sequel to something that we were all really quite nervous about the prospect of this on Wednesday, but I clearly they've delivered for the majority of us. For anybody out there who's waiting to see if this is worth watching, if it's safe to look, because we do get people watching the show who haven't seen the episode yet. This is The Well by Russell T Davies and Sharma Angel Warfel that's premiered today. The synopsis just says, far in the future, on a tough, brutal planet, a devastated mining colony has only one survivor. To discover the truth, the Doctor and Belinda must face absolute terror. So that's pretty generic stuff. But I think this episode, whilst it's nothing that's going to sort of revolutionize sci-fi, my God, was this like throwing a starving man a bag of chips or something. We're going to look at the comments in the live chat now. Head over there and see what everybody else has got to say. Take the temperature and compare a few takes with some of our patient, faithful viewers and listeners.
So you went into a phone box with a mobile
They
phone?
phoned me to ring me. It was pouring rain, that's why. So I went there to get
So you went into a phone box and you had a mobile?
To cry in private.
I was hoping it was a TARDIS.
Yes, never not funny, that one. We're reviewing the Well here, our instant review, our reactions to this brand new episode of Doctor Who that's aired this evening, courtesy of Russell T Davies, the showrunner and co-writer with Sharma Angel Warfall. What do you think, though? You've heard what we think. Let's find out what you think out there. Who have we got in the live chat? Let's find out. Let's work our way through. Okay. This is off to a good start. Shah. Oh my God! Really, Stephen? I've no idea what that's in relation to, but I'm sure we'll find out as things tick along. Let's go and see what's going on. We've got Shelley in the live chat saying hi and lots of that kind of thing, highs and hails and hellos and sort of hearty greetings for everybody on a Saturday night. A long hello as always from Rose. Thank you, Rose. And we've got lots more familiar names and faces as well. We're going to cut to the quick for the takes on this episode. Let's see what we've got. Hi, Ashvin. Stephen Braddock says it's the first episode for so long that was proper Doctor Who, and the shocked face emoji and some clapping.
Stephen literally messaged me saying, "Have you watched it yet?" I said, "No." He goes, "When you have, just tell me if it's good and then I'll watch it."
Look, it's a shame we got there, but we did, didn't we? The Well gave Lee Smith deja vu. Alien 3 and The Thing. Yeah. I can see what Lee means.
Event Horizon, yeah.
Oh, it borrowed. It definitely borrowed this. There's no denying.
Obviously, all opinions are welcome. Woodhouse 122 has got a very different take. The Well was generic tosh for Woodhouse 122. Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Aidan McGear.
Can't be wrong, can you?
No. Good stuff. I still haven't watched it yet, says Shah. Get on it. Well, it's safe to look. I think you're going to have a good time with this at least.
Well, she's out on the Raz now anyway, so.
Yeah. We've got, wow, even Domgo liked it. Well, wasn't that episode feckin' superb? What a damn shame. It's all too late. Don't blackpill yourself, mate. Enjoy the rest of your night. Revel in that 45 minutes. Shah is in the pub. Bottoms up, my lovely. Bottoms up. Have a good time. We've got... Do you guys want to hear my theory while you guys are watching the episode, Shelley? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you're talking about, Shelley. Holy shit balls, says Shah. There you go. Fair enough.
The roller coaster of this conversation, isn't it, with her? Jesus.
It is. Oh, you've got to keep up. Yeah.
Me too, Crimpling. Me too.
Crimpling, yes, says, I'm disappointed it wasn't a sequel to Meglos after all. Whereas Time Lord Victorious says, this episode shows why Midnight should never have a sequel. You might have to expand on that, Victorious, because I'd say this was an example of how to do a sequel properly and effectively and brilliantly. Terrified Monk says, I may have been a huge hater on the current Doctor, but I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed this episode. Good for you, Monk, for admitting so as well. All opinions are welcome here, and we're not tribal in any way. You can come with your honest opinions, whether it's positive or negative. Evening from Matthew and from Matt. All the Matts in this time. It was bad, says Matt. So very, very bad. Well. Let's expand on that, Matt. We're talking about the chips. Got Adrian in the live chat as well. Nicholas Horton too. Hi, wrenches. Let's say wrenches then. Hi, wrenches and chat.
Oh, I'm a wrench. Hello.
Shah says, how is this episode having such conflicting reviews? Is it? I don't know what people are saying out there. I personally, I don't know how anybody could not enjoy this. Any Doctor, like I say, it's not reinventing the wheel, but it was fucking good. In my opinion, it really was absolutely fantastic. If Russell T Davies has this in him, says Domgo, why the hell did we have to suffer various other things that he doesn't like?
Here's the one thing, and I don't know if the three of you will agree. I wish they had worked as hard to hide the twist of this episode. back in '82 when J&T worked so hard to keep secret the return of the Cybermen in Earthshock, which just made still that reveal moment at the end of the first episode just legendary. I wish that they had tried to do the same for this one, to where we were all totally blindsided in that scene where they realized this was on the plan. Not that it wasn't effective. I only wish that secrets like this could still, be maintained to really, because I think that it would have been so good if none of us were even remotely expecting that this had anything.
Yeah, because
midnight.
it surprised me how long they waited to do that sort of drop moment. I thought it would be sooner, and I was enjoying the fact that they were sort of allowing the characters and the sort of the atmosphere and everything else to breathe. And then obviously the Doctor has that conversation and he goes, what was the planet originally called? And then you get midnight. And I think certain fans would have picked up, like Lou did, of the music cues and other stuff. But I sort of thought that's confident, that you're not relying on going, look, it's a midnight sequel. You're sort of just, no, let's let the story flow. Let's sort of,
because the fact of the matter is as well, I think, as was denoted by the freeze frames of the Doctor, David Tennant and Leslie Sharp both there, they know that a lot of people who are watching this probably aren't going to remember. It's not the bulk of people who watch it aren't Doctor Who fans who've watched this stuff over and over again. So it's so it doesn't hinge on them having total recall of the actual episode as well. And the fact that they didn't sort of lean into it too heavily at the start means they was very confident of the material itself. I think. I mean, even going into it, I was still 50-50 about whether it was, because I've been told so many of these episodes, Luke, over the last couple of years are going to be one thing or another that they don't turn out to be. I still wasn't sure if it was going to be a sequel to Midnight at all. We had people in the live chat on Thursday were saying, "Oh, this is a spoiler. This is another one of the gods is going to be revealed. The god of language." Nothing to do with that at all. Yeah. It was
I was
clean.
so relieved.
Clean affair.
I pretty much agree. I think if you come in straight off the bat and be like, "This is a midnight, we're on midnight straight away," then I think you're going to alienate a lot of the casuals. But if you slowly build up to it, then 20 minutes in, then you reveal it. You're going to get people being like, the casuals going to be like, "Oh, that's the David. Oh, right, we'll have a look at that. It's on the Whoniverse or whatever it's called now." The audience are going to watch it and be like, "Right, got it, we're in." But we're all kind of ahead. But they kept it quiet, considering they shot this February last year. It only really got leaked about a week before the series started, so they managed to keep it fairly under wrap.
They did, but I think the problem was Russell had said in interviews that we were getting a sequel. So then people were like, right, he said that, and now the leaks happened. Yeah. If he hadn't have said that about the sequel, I think
no one would have said anything. Yeah, that was that Doctor Who magazine, notorious one, that came out just after the leak, and then that magazine accidentally confirmed some of the leaks, and turns out all the leaks are very, very true so far. So maybe if he would have kept his mouth shut, we all could have just lived in denial and had a great time. But had a great time anyway. I thought it was phenomenal. Rose, whatever her name is, Rose, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, absolutely loved it. What a great! Well, it's nice to be. Me and Jamie Carroll, who I work with all the time, I think he was ringing me in the morning, being like, "Have we watched it? Have we watched it? Have we watched it?" And I was like, "No." I think I answered, and I don't think we spoke for like 45 minutes. We were just like, "Oh man, we're still processing this." We were like, "This is how it should be. This is good. This is some good
Most
sci-fi."
People, Luke, do agree in the live chat. Psychic Beat says it's absolutely fantastic. Dom Go Again says, "Why can't Russell T Davies understand? This is what we want." And we've got another comment here from Kate Waldron, who says, "As someone who knows sign language, can we take a moment to say just how amazing the inclusion was? Not over the top, just perfect." Well, again, I didn't view it as an inclusion and diversity thing. It was part of the story, part of this character. And if he wanted to work with this actress, who, by all means, the hype with this person, with Rose, again, never seen her before tonight. The hype is real. If she's this good, if she was this good in EastEnders and the various other things she's done, I completely see why the British public love her so much. We're about to bring on another panelist, our first caller on this one. I think we've all had, most of us had an upbeat time, I think. Some of us, the results are varying. This has been relatively popular, I think. But now we're being hailed from another planet altogether. The planet is nothing to do with diamonds, although he is a bit of a diamond geezer. Come to think of it, he's absolutely awesome. And I wonder whether he's still got it in him to... You know who I mean, don't you, Gary? It's the Rabbi from another planet.
Who else?
Of course it is. I feel about
I think you mean coal rather than diamond. That's the mine I always left, baby.
So I'm going to ask you the question I've asked.
Good,
I'm going to ask you the question I've asked all the panelists. Yes, simply, what sort of day have you had? And is it a thumbs up or thumbs down?
I always, my day is always, I'm offline from Friday night when the sun goes down till the sun goes down on Saturday because of the Jewish Sabbath. So for me, I don't have to worry about spoilers before I watch it, right? I've been very down on this era and the previous era, to be frank. But I thought this was hands down. I mean, it's not even close. The best episode since Twice Upon a Time, right? I think it's again not even close. And I think this qualitatively proves that the Rusty Davis era is superior to the Jodie era in that it took, I think by the time you got to the end of the Jodie era, they kind of worked out how to do a pastiche of Doctor Who that I normally would think they're looking at Doctor Who, except when they see Jodie Whittaker, right? Because she's horribly cast as a Doctor, but they did as good as they could get. And I think towards the last season, and especially her last episode, the special Power Doctor, I liked her locked in it, right? I like the Matt Smith style opening and the Master in it and the Rasputin dance. I like all of that, right?
You're saying this is more authentic to the show that we know and love.
Right,
and that's important.
So it took them 20 episodes before they could start to get there. It took Shooty 8 episodes. So good for him. Look, he still to me is always nails on a chalkboard, right? He was the most restrained I've seen him this week. If only he could not cry. Oh God! He could not cry.
You know what? I even loved that. And what I liked about it is that the tear. What I liked about it is that we see him feel the emotion, and the tear runs, but he doesn't react. He doesn't disintegrate. He doesn't crumble as a man. He processes the emotion, and his body may cry, but he remains in the moment, doing what he needs to do to be heroic.
To me, it just seems like he's making an acting choice that he knows he can pull off, right? I don't think he's... Rose Ayling-Ellis was great. Belinda, what's her name? She gets better every week. I was saying, she was... I like some franchise. She's genuine gold, right? The director this week, freaking awesome. What a great spooky episode. I love how they have the little things you just saw something behind her, right? So well done, right? They got to get this. I just saw her. She hasn't worked on Doctor Who before. They got to get her again. She is solid gold for them. So there was some clunky writing in that. I think it had some plot holes that threw me out of it. Like right at the beginning, if his shtick, this is okay. They should have made his shtick that he doesn't wear the same thing 2 episodes running and that he always changes clothes. They did that last week. They could have done that this week. That actually would have been better than what they went with last year, right? Still feels too much like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy to me. But fine, whatever. But like, why is he in the exact same spacesuit that all the other people?
I wondered about that. I mean,
that's the only thing.
I wondered,
he's
Luke,
got a nice bum. Okay, we know
because there's so much going on. Because and I've had this problem with Doctor Who. Actually, I've had it for the full 20 years it's been back. But sometimes it moves that quickly. I do miss little lines of dialogue, some of which are nonsense, and some of which turn out to be valuable. So I didn't know if they'd looked on the TARDIS and seen the exact year and recognised something.
No, sadly not.
No,
Any ideas, Luke? Do you think it's material that could have been cut?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, that's the only thing I was kind of like, oh, that's a bit of a random. I mean, shoot, he's got back there, doesn't he? Jesus Christ, like days. Cool on, lads. Someone's been doing the squats. I think that was the only thing that threw me. I was like, oh, that's very coincidental. If he would have come out in the orange spacesuit, I know I know they kind of retired it, but I think Rose right at the end she puts the helmet on of the orange.
Yeah, well,
space
wasn't she
suit.
wearing it at the
Yeah.
end?
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she's wearing it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
she's
so.
wearing it. Yeah, so I was like, it kind of still survives. But yeah, I thought that was a bit. I was like, oh, okay, that's a little bit of a random. I'd watch if it felt like a play. They did Midnight as a play. I'd happily watch this as a play as well. Jesus, yeah, I thought it was a bit random. They coincidentally had the correct spacesuits, but hey, I'll forgive it. It was great. That's my one gripe so far. I was like, it's my biggest one. I'll forgive it.
Are all of these, have you noticed, Charlotte, are all of these running at around the same time? It's around 44 to 45 minutes. Because we talked about this.
This one went for 48 minutes.
Yeah, this is 48.
Go on. It's Disney money right there. Jeez.
It's because it did seem longer, but because I was enjoying it so much, I still didn't want it to end.
But what I think worked here is actually, and trust me, this is not criticism, technically the plot was quite thin here. Actually, if you break it down to what happened,
simple.
And the plot,
Midnight was simple.
There's not a lot going on, but because of that, it actually gave it room to breathe. It actually allowed concepts and characters and sort of beat and the atmosphere and the beats they wanted to concentrate on. You actually felt naturally more happened. When it came to the captain running to sacrifice herself, I actually felt myself getting a little bit like, not upset, that's a bit dramatic, but like actually getting a bit
like
emotional.
it mattered.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
it was a worthy
you actually had time with that character on screen long enough. She wasn't just in a couple of scenes. Like I feel like they've done a lot with the side characters in this run. She had a lot of conversations with the Doctor. You saw sort of her start off quite harsh and sort of no, I'm in charge sort of personality, and then she softened a bit and you sort of saw more sides to her. So when she did sacrifice herself, I actually felt something for a change. So I think this episode shows that they've been putting way too much in these, like too many ideas, too many plots, because they can't keep track of them. Like the only
honestly, I don't think Russell Davis is tired as a writer. Everything he writes now just feels like he's out of it, and somebody just has to tell him, right?
Yeah.
It's just and like again, it's not really working. I think the genesis of this episode was that the new writer probably had an idea that a deaf character wouldn't be affected by the creature from Midnight, and they probably wrote everything around it. That's my guess. I thought it was quite a clever idea of having was this more representation than Nabil Shaban being cast as Syl representation?
Mm.
It feels like it's in the same ballpark to me.
But I can say easily the only bit, and this is like my one gripe, and this is where it felt like the tiredness, what you're talking about, Russell. Rabbi to do Russell. Mrs. Flood, like this was the most, like they've all been a bit crowbarred in, but this was the one that I was just like, oh, okay, we're back to a Mrs. Flood cameo.
Yep.
I like a lot of things feel crowbarred into this. Honestly, look, this episode was rescued by just a good, like a simple plot they executed well. Although they spent too much money on it. I hate the money they spent on Doctor Who. This would have been better in one of those power stations they filmed Blake 7 in. Quite frankly, rather than painstakingly rebuild the power station you film Blake 7 in. Right? It seems to me they could have realized the story on any budget. Right? Verity Lambert could have realized the story, right? Which is a sign of a good story, frankly.
That's why I don't feel it will be the end of the world if they can't secure another global streaming partner and they do have to slash the budgets, or if the BBC just decide to take a hit and accept the fact that they have to modify their funding model and everything else, strip back the budget of this show. Doctor Who can stand it more than most. Domgo says, I could pick holes in this, but I don't want to because it made me feel like a Doctor Who fan again. I so loved this. Sandy Cheeks asks, did she need to jump in the well? Yeah.
I guess
so.
Yeah. There's no other way of like she had to have the creature like tied to her, and yeah, it was really it was just it was a bit of a rip off of Alien 3, right?
Yeah.
Look, this one was very derivative of a lot of good stuff of Event Horizon.
My marker for this, Rabbi, is how many, because the target audience is like between 9 and 14. How many 9-year-olds have seen Event Horizon and of Alien 3? You know, it's like when the Brain of Morbius was made. How many 9-year-olds had seen all those Hammer horror movies and things that ripped off? Yeah, you know.
Well, it's the age-old adage,
question
isn't
is,
it?
though, is that the audience anymore? Like character options, we know they don't make current figures.
No, but that's the.
Kids.
It isn't the audience they've got, but it's the audience they insist that they insist that they want, isn't it, Luke? So what were you going to say?
I was going to say it's the age-old adage. It is was it good artists steal? No, good artists copy, great artists steal. So if they're going to take the little bits out of like Alien 3 or Event Horizon,
yeah,
do it. Absolutely do it. Like,
listen, what they put on the screen was enjoyable. There's no way around that, right? That it absolutely was, right?
I'd actually like to see.
Generally speaking, this whole season has been so qualitatively superior to the first season. I'm beginning to think they might be able to stick the landing at this point.
Somebody just mentioned character options. I'd actually like to see character options try to do a figure of this character. Just have like a blank container, and then if you go, where is it? Say, where is it? Oh, it's behind you.
If the
it's behind you.
Worked, you could have done a box of figures.
Maybe,
right?
you could be right.
I think that might have been the goal. They did. I don't think they really stuck to it that strongly.
Yeah, I mean,
we've got some more comments here. Go on, sorry, Gary.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to quickly follow up to something that Charlotte said. Yeah, I mean, I had like, especially kind of toward the end, I had plot things that kind of, niggled at me. I think Rabbi referred to it, and I don't want to get off into a tangent of, well, what about this? But what about this? I don't want to do that.
There probably are lots of stuff like that.
But the one thing
there are in most episodes.
Yeah, but the one thing that I actually do want to ask your opinion on, because I thought maybe I misheard it or maybe I'm misreading it. But did the Doctor actually seriously offer to take this homicidal monster around the universe with him just to save Belinda? Because I thought, no.
I think I got the impression it was to buy him some time. I think he was.
Yeah.
I think he was.
Right.
I think he was desperate and was just saying anything that he could.
Right. That's
DeMorpin points out that Midnight was not simple. The texture and themes of Midnight weren't simple, and the way it framed the character of the Doctor weren't. But the plot, which is what we were talking about when I said that, the plot was simple and linear, and so was this, and there's nothing wrong with that. And Daleks Are Forever says Midnight was chilling, but this was dirge. Whereas Fly Highland says I didn't watch it, but now I'm taping it for the repeat on Friday. So there are people who didn't like it or who just aren't feeling it and are just out on default. I get that. I respect that. But it's not going to shoot down. I've got to call it as I see it. This is bloody brilliant. It's nice to see everyone happy for once, says Ashvin in the live chat. Belinda was shot in the shoulder, not the heart. The heart is more central. So she was in some danger, but not dead.
Well. But,
again, it was all, there are lots of things. I literally just watched it. So, I'm not quite sure sometimes what people have said, precisely what's happened. But I know when I feel good about a piece of TV, when I've had that Doctor Who feeling, and particularly when it's happened so very sparsely in the last decade.
I'll tell you, it's happened a lot to me this week. I was amazed. I enjoyed Andor. Found a new show on Apple Plus I quite like, Your Friends and Neighbors. I was really amazed. I enjoyed Andor. Like, really? What happened there? And then I couldn't hurl my feces at this show tonight, right? So I feel a little bit chagrined about that. But other than that, I'm fine.
Watch the Studio on Apple TV. That's another good show as well. The Studio.
Oh, really, what show?
Good. The Studio.
Oh, I hated it.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
No, it was just, to me, it seemed like it was just designed to make Seth Rogen look cool. Like Seth Rogen was better when he didn't look cool.
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was hilarious. Yes, sorry, back to comments.
Vive la différence, baby. Vive la différence.
We've got Lee Smith says Gatwa should have a cool futuristic costume, and Ken Raz says that Shooty's resume probably says I can cry on demand. So great, we'll see if we can use that. Like, can ride a horse, can salsa dance, can play guitar. Charlotte, it's like can cry on demand.
Well, yeah, and I do agree. I think in general the crying has been a mistake. but I'm with you, Dan. In this episode, it made complete sense.
But
because-
it would have made sense, Eddie, and it would have had power if he hadn't have cried every
yeah.
bloody week before
Yes,
this.
exactly.
That's why I think in general the overuse of it has weakened when he does do it any time now. But in the context of the episode, it was one of those times that I'm going, do you know what? If you're gonna cry, you're gonna cry when you're facing an entity like the Midnight entity.
Okay, so the question is though.
He cried in Midnight. I watched it the other day. He did cry in that. The Doctor cried in the end of the world, when the Ninth Doctor just sheds one tear. The Doctor does cry. But I agree with you completely, Rabbi. And we've said it before. If they just knocked it back a bit, all of this stuff would be far more effective in this era.
Yeah.
Charlotte?
Yeah.
The costume's a bit much, isn't it?
Well, no, it's the thing is, it's like Dan said, when he did it, he wasn't like like I go back to a series, his last series moment, which I hated in the finale, when he was facing the Susan Twist as Sutek, and he cried and he froze. He literally froze, and another character had to drag him away. But here, he did it, but he was also at that time still talking to the entity. He was still active. He was doing something productive. And then afterwards, he was straight away like, right, we need to do this. We need to do this. Come on. He was that control again. He was that smartest person in the room. He was the Doctor. And that's what we want on screen. You can have your emotions, but you still need to be able to work and be able to be the figure which brings everybody together. And that's what the Doctor should always be.
Also, isn't it nice that Belinda is just being a nurse? Because you had it with Yasmin Khan, who is a copper in space, never doing copper things. And Belinda is a nurse doing nurse things. Yeah. Isn't it nice to have a companion that actually does what her day job is?
More, Luke, of not just that desire for and the awareness of what she views as duty, whether she's at work or not. But there's more of that motherly quality to the character as well, which I mean, people scoffed at me for saying this week one, but I saw it then. I saw, obviously, this was a harder adventure story, but you did see corners to it as well. Sonny Waffles asks, what did Belinda do? Belinda did plenty in this, I felt.
No, I think it's asking what her job was. She's a nurse.
I did like the logical scene where they bring her over the kid and she looks and she goes, I have no idea what any of this does. Yeah. I'm glad they did that. That actually made sense.
Yeah, nicely done.
And my guess, what do you guys think then? They didn't know what Earth was. They didn't know what humans were. The saying, she said, oh, it's a human saying. And they're all like, what? Do you think that's going to link back to why they can't
totally.
Go Earth?
Well, we already saw
it's the arc,
on the 24th.
Yeah, that's the arc.
Was it May? Well, the Earth blows up on the penultimate episode. Right? We saw it all floating in space.
The timeline has been changed.
But they are human. I mean, it's fine for them not to know about Earth if it doesn't exist, but they are human.
They are 400 years in the future. I guess they would have evolved somehow. Yeah, it's a bit of a... I get it, though.
No, they weren't humans. He said another planet. I can't think of the name.
Yeah, beginning with an L. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
But it's I wouldn't describe it as world building again, and you could say that stuff like that is mumbo jumbo because none of it's ever going to pay off or line up with anything else unless he writes a further sequel to this in another 17 years' time. I'd like to see. I would like to see this sort of explored and expanded again. I think I would. Ideally, maybe by another writer, but I think a final sort of third part to it, which wouldn't necessarily need to blow the gaff on it.
Well, they left it open-ended at the end, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's. I thought one thing the episode did really well was not explain the creature or not make it logical or make sense. I really like that.
Yeah.
Anything good, I'm really putting onto this new writer. What was her name was?
Yeah, Sharma Angel Warfel.
Yeah, no, she did a good. She should be proud of herself. This is going to go down as one of the high points of the era.
I think absolutely the high point so far. Ewan says Ncuti Gatwa nailed it in this episode. He was amazing. Dalek Lives Matter says anyone could have dressed that wound, especially military. But no, but she was the one who noticed that she was injured. Nobody else had. It finally proves to me that Ncuti can play the Doctor, says Stephen Braddock.
Wow.
Yeah, it still didn't to me. I'm still not convinced at all.
Ncuti, nothing about Ncuti, says Doctor Who, says Dalek Lives Matter. I wouldn't say I've been completely won over by this. It is just one episode, but knowing that he's got this in him, in some ways it's worse because I want to see more of this. And I've seen flashes of it here and there, but never for this concentrated period of time to remain in that character and to actually dig deeper every time and remain himself as well. It didn't come across as an impression of Tennant or Eccleston or Smith or anybody else. It was particular to him, and it was, in my view, it was for the most part perfectly balanced. If he doesn't, he's not going to get the chance to, is he?
No. Well, that's the problem now. It's like we can't.
Jodie never did anything like this.
No, absolutely no, absolutely not.
Well, she had the talking frog.
She had the talking frog. Here's the problem now. Like you said, in general, we've had this episode. This era's finally shown the potential we all sort of wanted when Russell got announced, when Ncuti got announced, when we thought we were getting a new start again in this way. This sort of the show's coming back and then we've had that first series which had incredible mistakes. For me, there was still some of that hangover stuff in the first episode of this series. Lux was really good up until a point for me last week. This has been brilliant. I don't know what I'm going to get next week. The quality is
I think next week's going to be good. I think next week's Shooting Light and written by Pete McTeague. I'm really rooting for that episode.
Is this the
objectively?
Pete one?
Yeah, because my mate that works on it said these are the two best episodes of this season. So
what we talk about.
It's going right down after that.
Yeah, the only thing is with this being I know it's only 8 episodes, but having this early in the run, is it arriving too soon, shall we say? If you've got another 4 or 5 episodes to come after this, maybe this should have been a little bit later on.
It depends. It depends if they can build on this, or they're going to squander it, right? It depends if they can stick the landing. Right? If they could have stuck the landing last year, they would have been in a much better state, right? If they can stick the land, and all the signs so far are pretty good, but I don't think it's going to get a reprieve. I don't think Shooting Gap was going to come back. I doubt Ross Lee Davis is going to come back, right? Whatever Doctor Who's going to be, I think it's going to be a different beast. I think this is.
Well, we've got no Russell now, have we?
What?
We got no Russell till May 24th, so he hasn't had a hand in any of the others, as far as I can tell. It's all new writers. We got Peter McTeague, you got Junior Dawson, you got the other guy. So yeah, there's no more Russell T Davies now until May 24th.
Really like cringed about. I think it's going to be a really bad episode.
Yeah. I'm just kind of surprised. I'm surprised they're following this with a Dr. Light episode. I would think you'd want to have followed this one with another strong Doctor episode
to make good on it. Obviously, the one thing it didn't have still for a third week running, no elephant wrestling a Dalek. You never know, maybe one day. But it did deliver in many other ways. We've got lots of comments there building up again. We've got lots more to say as well, but I think it's time that we took a bit of a break and recharged the batteries. And what better way to spend a couple of minutes than in the company of some proper hooligans. Luke, you may recognize this lot. We'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
No. You asked for my help. Yeah, more as a sounding board. Not so you could rewrite the ending and ruin it. What are you doing dressed like that? I'm working.
Hiya, fam.
So, you're my replacement. A dandy and a clown.
Dear Auntie Beeb, thank you for Doctor Who this year.
How about a season 14 marathon? I'm talking Robots of Death, Talons of Wing Chang, Deadly Assassin. Oh, love Gallifreyan stories. Proper classic Who, you know, Tom at his finest.
Doctor Who? Nah, I've not watched since David Tennant.
We open with the TARDIS.
Oi! Stop what you're doing and state your name and planet of origin.
Hi.
Do we know what we're looking for, Doctor? I don't really fancy walking up and down these corridors all day.
Seriously, that was like the worst episode of Doctor Who ever, and I've seen Twin Dilemma.
We were on the verge of discovering something huge there.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for overreacting. I'm sorry for being moody. I'm sorry that I'm no longer fun. I'm sorry I don't like the Rings of Akaten. I haven't eaten, so nothing too strong. Get drunk.
You know, I really think he might.
Where is he?
Where is he indeed?
Dalek!
You will be exterminated! Exterminate!
Well done, Russell. Now you've ruined it.
Yes, welcome back to Type 40 Live here, your live streamed Doctor Who magazine show with our instant reactions and hottest of takes to that very latest episode of Doctor Who, which has premiered in the last 24 hours everywhere. So on Disney Plus and iPlayer, and finally on BBC One. The Well. Are we back? Are we all better now? I think we are, aren't we? As for her, yes. So she was there again. The Mrs. Flood, played by soap legend Anita Dobson. I am getting a bit of a feeling of deja vu about all of this. Obviously, during the last season, we had another woman of a certain age, former soap star, popping up here, there, and everywhere. This does feel, again, it's nothing close to spoiling the episode, but it does feel a little old hat. And I think, had they not done it last year with Susan Twist,
I mean, literally just last year.
It's the same, isn't it? It's the same. And I know that Russell has said that he initially cast Anita Dobson just for a one-off appearance, and this wasn't meant to be a recurring character. But again, I do worry that anybody who only watches the show now and again will look at it and think, hey, it's another old bat. Are they doing that again? Or is it the same old bat?
It's the same person. If it's like, if you hadn't tuned in, you're like, wait, is this the same one from last year? You wouldn't know it's a different person.
I mean, we talked about this a little, didn't we, the other day, Luke? How this does feel like they've done if they've done the right kind of stories for the season, they've done them in the wrong order, and it almost feels like it's all been thrown together as a whole. And it's a pity that it's hitting a sort of pay dirt, because I like Susan Twist and I like Anita Dobson, but probably having them both might not be that wise. It's probably not show breaking, but it just seems like an embarrassment of old soap stars.
Yeah, you could have kept the old woman thing to Mrs. Flood, built it up over the 2 seasons, and then have Sutek do something entirely different, not be Susan Flood. I thought that was a bit of a misstep, personally. I do think this. If we would have opened with this season last year, I think we would have been having very different conversations about the future of Doctor Who. I think Doctor Who would have been in a better place. But I think we might go down the season 26 route. Personally, I think it's going to be a good season, like relatively reviewed pretty well. But unfortunately, it's a bit too little, too late. And I think this go out on a high, and hopefully it's not the end. I don't think Doctor Who will ever end. The BBC can't afford it to end. So hopefully it comes back. Or maybe this was all a plot.
Way better than season 26. I mean, season 26 is way better than this. You had great stories. Like I would watch Curse of Fenric before this any day of the week. And not even close. Ghostfire. Yeah, no. There is no. He wasn't really bad on that season. It had Ghostlight, Survival, Dragonfire. Oh, okay. The special edition Battlefield. The original, the transmitter one, bit ropey. Special edition, much better.
You get the sentiment. We'll have a strong season to finish on. Like season 26 was the strongest season than 24. So it's that sentiment. But I think the BBC can't afford it to end, and I don't think it ever will. It'll keep going. Jodie's now back in Big Finish, which I'm actually looking forward to. So she'll have some different writers. It'd be nice to see her take on that.
As long as I don't have to listen to her, it'll all be fine by me. I mean, talking about the classic series probably finishing at a peak. We are following that now. We're going to finish very much at a peak, maybe, because we do have one person calling in quickly with his views as well. He's been busy squirreling away on his own video for his channel. He's very popular still YouTube channel. Heaven knows what his voice is like. The channel, of course, is the one and only Bolstrek. This is the man behind it all, our mate Chris. Welcome back, Chris.
Hi.
Who's that? Is that Santa?
No.
Who's
No,
that?
That's a self-portrait.
This is my latest. Yeah, that's my latest face reveal. So I just need to let everybody know I'm on my phone. I can't. I don't know why. It's just my brain just escaped me, but I can't find a charger, and I'm worried that it's going to die. So I may have to leave soon. Okay. I watched.
Chris,
I was going to say I watched.
I just want to introduce you to them, Chris. This is Luke.
Hello.
Luke, this is Chris. We've just
Luke,
been
have we
trading
streamed together
out.
before?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Oh, okay. Hello, Luke. Maybe I've watched you on streams. Hi. I watched Severance last night. It was really good. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes. It was great. I was thinking, what could be worse than being stuck at work and never being able to leave work when you work in a place like that?
Okay.
Then it occurred to me, I got to watch this show. And then I'm like, this is what's worse than that, because it's so
You've
hi,
preempted
everybody.
my question, Chris. Have you had a good day or a bad day? And we've been trading takes about the well for the last hour and a half.
Well,
did you enjoy this one? Did you find any nuggets of pleasure within its 48 minutes?
Well, I got up this morning, and then I'm like, it's Saturday. Yay! I get to do fun things on Saturday. But then my brain kicked in, and I realized, oh no, I have to do this on Saturday. So I've watched this twice. Yay. I wrote my script. While I was writing my script, or while I was editing it, I went through my music. I'm like, I need to watch. I just need to make things match. So what's the worst thing I can find in my my hard drive? So I played Metallica's Saint Anger in the background because it seemed to be just the perfect fitting backdrop for this. I watched it twice. I like the part at the beginning where Dr. Nutty said he wanted diversity hire number 6's mother to whistle at his ass. I like the effects plugins from After Effects for the planet and the moon. That was fun. I like the fact that the 2 white dudes kept trying to shoot the deaf lady. That was fun. I like the fact I like the fact that they were going to, become bad people. It was completely unpredictable. Who would have predicted that they would have been bad? I like the part where the incompetent lady literally murders one of them by making the lady with the thing on her back stand in their direction. That was fun. I like the fact that Dr. Nutty started crying at the scary beast. That was fun. I like the fact that the one lady saved the day and Dr. Nutty did absolutely nothing again because he sucks. So that was fun. I like the fact that they didn't actually solve the problem because it came back at the end, which means it was all for nothing. That was fun.
I think the idea is, though, Chris, that we're not meant to know whether it came back at the end or not. It's meant to play in our minds, and it's exploiting our familiarity with those kind of movies and TV shows. From the horror genre that you love, whereby we think that Michael Myers is dead, he's out, but did we just spy the shape in the corner of the room? They don't actually show us anything, do they? I think what I saw on the face of the black girl with the short hair. That was more not like she'd seen something horrific, more that uncertainty that the character had. That did I see something, or am I imagining it? And they left us with.
It was behind her back. It was the black girl who had it behind her back. It was the white girl.
It was behind her back.
Yeah.
See, I was watching her. Well, she was great as well. Very, just convinced. But no, I was looking at the other girl. So maybe I missed something there.
It was behind her back. It wasn't the white girl's looking at her.
Unfortunately, I don't remember. Unfortunately, Rabbi. As you can probably guess, I don't really remember any of the characters' names apart from Alice, Rose Ayling-Ellis's character.
I gave them all names.
I'll bet.
I bet you did. So, Chris, you're somewhat of a fan of the original episode Midnight. Were you aware of the rumors of this potentially being a sequel, or was this a surprise to you, or a revelation? Was this what you were expecting?
I didn't care enough to check the rumors. I just figured I'd take things as they come. Yes, Midnight was a fun episode back from when this show was not terrible. So that was exciting. I like the fact that they scoured a garbage dump to make their sets. That was fun. What was I surprised? No. I suppose I could have asked, where's the obvious place to go?
They painstakingly expensively made garbage.
Well, yes, that's wasting money. You could just have gone.
Yes, I know. They spent millions of dollars making garbage.
Yeah. I think
Rich says most of the planet knew.
Yeah. I have a message from Dead Space. They would like their concept and specifically their visual concept returned to them. Alien is not very happy. The Asylum is also not very happy because this actually made their Alien knockoff films look good.
Do you think it crossed that line then, Chris? Because a lot of Doctor Who has been inspired by, has been a homage, but do you think this has crossed that line into being a bit of a rip-off then, and too much that's borrowed from elsewhere?
Well, they can't come up with anything new, so I suppose. Yeah. What was I going to say? I forget. I've recorded my voiceover right before this, and
I can tell.
What else? What was I going to? I can't even remember any of my.
Chris, I wanted to ask you.
Hi, Gary.
Hey,
how are you?
How are
hi,
you, buddy?
Charlotte. Oh, hi, Rabbi. How is everyone?
Good.
Isn't it nice? It's rainy.
I wanted to ask you, do you think that they should have at least attempted to do more stories with this kind of mood before now? The kind of like darkness, creepiness, unsettling, that kind of thing.
Because our attitude, I think our feeling, all of us, Gary enjoyed it less than the rest of us, Chris, as we've been trading experiences, is that more of this, please. But,
I think they thought they were going to get a sequel. That's why they did the end. Sorry, RTD, you're not getting a sequel to like anything. Yeah.
Also, I really want to be clear. I don't think it was that good. I just think, in comparison to what we've seen for the last 7 years, it was Shakespeare. Right.
Well, it's like, what do you want?
Like if you've dropped this in a Capaldi season, it'll be like, oh, that was good. That was good and spooky, right? Or any season, it'll be okay. It better than that Cyberman story by Neil Gaiman. That was.
I'm still waiting for the eye gunk creatures to come back from the Capaldi. The eye gunk creatures from.
It's
Capaldi.
funny you should say that because that episode, Sleep No More, that sprung to mind with me, particularly in the final few minutes. Because again, I like all that sort of stuff in other. In movies and TV, I'm not a horror fiend in the way that you are, Chris, and I don't like the slasher stuff, but I like the sort of the jumpy stuff and the COD horror films. I like all that, and I think that's what they were striving for with Sleep No More, which they missed because the whole thing was slightly too ridiculous, whereas this was a bit more bolted down.
Well, they were trying to do horror. Basically, they played 5 minutes of a Dead Space game and decided, we're going to go with that. And I think they took the score directly from the first Dead Space game. It's hard to be scary when Dr. Nutty is your main character. He's just not scary. Although he did cry at the creature, so that was fun.
So you've recorded your. So go on, Charlotte.
No, I was going to say just to what Rabbi said. What this was them just finally nailing a concept. It was them finally going back to basics and showing us that they can do scary again. They can do tense again. They can do dread. Was it like this absolutely amazing, complex thing? No. But where the show is right now, I'm sorry, it needed an episode like this.
Oh, it needed a season like this. And again, look, for me, I still couldn't recommend it to anyone because of Judy Gatwa. I mean, so I could say, oh, check this out, because he's like nails on chalkboard. I can't stand him. He's absolutely like it's the worst. It's the second worst choice. It's the third actor for the Doctor.
Wait, Rabbi,
I can't recommend this to anybody or a normal.
Rabbi, you can't say that, babe.
But, oh God, yeah, I can't see every time they do that. It makes me. It's like cringe. They did.
Come on, hon.
Yeah, come on, hon. It's come see my fun device.
Not mysterious. It makes you like an annoying tit. It doesn't make you look like a mysterious alien in time and space.
Yeah.
Rose Ayling Ellis has made quite an impact with me on this one. I'm not going to go back and watch dozens of episodes of EastEnders. Of course I'm not. But I may well look out for her in Ludwig, which I've heard so many good things about. I'm not generally one for crime dramas either, but when they've got good people in them, yeah, I'll be interested to see what she does next. Even her goodbye to the Doctor, that just through the closing door, Luke, I thought that was effective as well. Sensitivity that I'm not used to for this show, or at least not for a long time. Doctor Who isn't the most sensitive of shows. It is brash, it is extravagant most of the time, but little moments that.
I think Doctor Who has a tendency to cast stars before the stars, like Carey Mulligan, Andrew Garfield, and whatever her name is from Rogue One, Jyn Erso, I think it was. Maybe she could be the next breakout star to come from this. Well. Who knows? Yeah, absolutely.
Well. Her career is really going to take off after this. This is great.
Absolutely, yeah. I think if anyone's coming up with a shining light with this more than anyone is. She's the center point of this, and she's
right. If I see she's like Matt Smith being in The Crown as well, I watch The Crown. If she's in a show, I'm gonna I'll at least give it a second look. So that puts me in a different pay bracket right there.
And the relationship between her and the Doctor is evolving already. She's gone from being a little bit more. I mean, you heard her talk about her parents, and you can see her distress at the thought that humanity, the human race, isn't a thing anymore. And it's talking about her parents. It's starting to sink in the situation that she's in, more so, and that she's got to get back to her family and that job that seems to inform so much of her personality. Again, though, they've only got 5 episodes, and looks like, I don't know if I'd say the Doctor. I'm going to say that the Doctor and Belinda are not going to be in next week's at all. It's not going to just be a Doctor Light. It's going to be a Doctor absent.
He's in the trailer.
Oh no, he is. You're right. Yeah, no, I do apologise. Yeah, he is.
They're both in the trailer.
What's interesting though, in the trailer, unless I'm wrong, it was him and Ruby, not him and Belinda.
No, it was him and Belinda in the one scene.
It's both of them. It's both of them.
Oh,
You're both right. There was a scene with him and Belinda. I think that's set in 2007, but there's another scene with him and Ruby, which I think might be a different adventure entirely. That just ties in.
Now, if I'm lucky, that's the one where they go to the space casino in the future, and Belinda and Ruby have to wrestle in Jello in very skimpy bikinis.
Yeah,
right?
we live in. I keep writing in, mate. I keep writing in.
If that happens, next week's review show is going to be 3 hours.
It's getting a gold star from me.
I'm officially reporting everyone here to the people in the Britain that arrest you for bad things. That's very offensive. I am very offended. I don't want to hear such talk again from any of you. That is, Rabbi, that is just downright disgusting. Also, maybe the reason why humanity is dead is because they fired all the doctors because they didn't know sign language, because I don't see any way that could possibly go wrong, even though they had the sign language devices. No, but we don't care about plot holes.
Peter Harrington's suggesting a pillow fight.
There you go.
So yeah, we could. Yeah,
with the oil, but not the pillow. Well, like, where are you going to get a pillow dirty? That seems a way.
Charlotte's just
pillows
like,
are expensive.
It's turning into one of the
comments earlier.
Luke,
one of the comments earlier. one of the comments earlier was like, "Oh, I hope Belinda comes out on my TV screen." And so, if you notice in the chat, in the stream earlier, I just started laughing because that caught me off guard as soon as I saw it. I was like, "Oh, fair play." Yeah, it's all a bit. Yeah, but she's great though. She's great. I love Belinda. I think she's a fantastic companion.
I'll tell you, I'll make a deal. If
great.
Belinda comes out my TV screen, I'll come on my TV screen. Okay, that's what's going to happen.
She's given me great content for my channel, so thank you, Belinda.
I think Luke may need a moment. She's the
Everybody's
companion.
talking about Jello fights in the chat now.
She's the companion.
I'm sorry. This is me being good.
She feels like a rounded person in a way that I haven't seen since. I think the last character that felt this well-rounded was Pearl Mackey's Bill. I thought, Bradley Walsh really tried with whatever that character was called, but the material was so dire that even despite his skill, there was just nothing there for him to reach for. Whereas I'm really feeling this. Obviously, this overarching storyline that you picked up on, Charlotte. Yeah. This doesn't seem like the most complex thing in the world, but I think if you're 10 years old and you've never seen this show before, you don't watch much sci-fi escapist stuff, this would probably be enough to, if not compel people, enough to maybe tick along in the background. It's nothing that we haven't all seen before, though, is it? It's only fair to say.
Oh God, no! It makes me think a bit of how in series 4 the whole planet's disappearing was like the running sort of thing, and then you got the conclusion. But I was thinking though, to be fair, I was like, the first 2 episodes have hardly dealt with any sort of arc. They need to start dealing with this arc or setting it up somehow. So I was happy that at least we appear to be getting a bit of setup for it. Whether Russell can deliver is another matter. But what I liked about with Belinda this episode, and it's all linked back to that, things that happen, she reacts naturally. There's a consequence to things happening around her, which I really like. How she thought about her parents when she was like, the Earth's gone? Like, what about my parents? Are they gone?
Yeah, no, that's very telling of a character. You're absolutely, and I think that's what I liked about her in the first episode. She was a genuinely moral character. She felt she was taking moral responsibility for, problems that she even caused even inadvertently. It's a very morally highfalutin character, right? I haven't seen TV.
Yeah, and what I liked also was when she had the whole being shot and being close to death thing, I didn't quite understand it either. The whole how they shot her and she didn't die.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Dan, I was enjoying the episode.
It happened quite quickly.
But what I like is she sort of had. She didn't instantly get up and was fine. She sort of was, like you said, she was a bit drained. She played it very like she was recovering still. And I quite like that scene when she was lied on the floor and Shooty was lied next to her. Because it sort of brought them a bit together again. And it was that lovely doctor companion moment again.
It's a doctor companion moment where she's a doctor. She's clearly the superior one in the relationship. She's the more mature one. Seems to be the more intelligent one.
I would argue, yeah.
Right. Yeah, has a stronger, more moral. I like Belinda.
She's making him better at every junction. Like I say, I stick to what I said earlier on. I felt yes, it's a low bar, but this was easily the best Shooty character has ever been, and probably, since he's not going to be in it much next week, it's probably the best he's ever going to be. But we'll see. Heaven knows what's to come in the next few weeks, right, kid? I don't know. We're still here for the time being anyway, trading our views, our instant reactions to these brand new episodes of All New Doctor Who. You've heard it all from us. I mean, some of us, I'm terrible for this. Some of this stuff I process slower than others. It catches up with me. It buffers after a while. I meant to go back and rewatch all 3 of these for one reason or another. And I haven't. I haven't been able to find the time to rewatch any of them so far. With this one, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm worried that I might spot a few of these plot holes that everybody's mentioned, but I enjoyed it so much. It reminds me of the original Russell T Davies era, right the way through probably into Matt Smith's time, where I would rewatch the average episode 2 or 3 times in 1 week. If you've been waiting to hear what we thought before you pressed play over there on Disney Plus or the iPlayer, it's up now. As you can gather, The Well is streaming, so go and watch it and let us know what you think in the comments, as ever, whether you agree with us or not, and whether you see some of the places where it could go. Do you want them to make it a trilogy? Do you want to see that third part to this story, or do you think they should just take the bag and run, that they've got away with it for this time, that they've managed to pull off what certainly the majority of us found to be an effective sequel? So yeah, take the W and move on. Let us know what you've got to say about all of that in the comments, as always.
Go on then.
You're watching Type 40.
Dan, you haven't had time to rewatch these episodes because you're spending all your time watching those Verada Sethu Hi Dan clips. It doesn't leave you time.
I have to tell you, if you are a Brother Sethu fan, I've had my salacious thumbnails of them made by AI, animated. So if you go to my Twitter feed, like you'll see Millie Gibson, a scantily clad Millie Gibson, and go, "Hi!" One of the greatest things of all time. This is why the whole sum of human engineering has come to this. So I can put cheekily obscene thumbnails together.
So that's the summation of our thoughts here at the Type 40 Live High Council. High? Are we high? Do we sound high? We probably do seem a bit high, come to think of it. Yeah, we're getting stuck into this all-new season of Doctor Who, for better or worse, here for the duration with the Doctor and Belinda there. Things are looking up, at least this week. Right. Oh, you still got that on. Oh, well, things are generally looking up for a little while, and I certainly recommend The Well myself. So I'm looking forward to that second watching as well. Let us know what you think. You can reach out to us, as always, through our social media, Instagram and X, at Type 40 Doctor Who. Join us in the Type 40 Facebook group too, where we've got a dedicated review thread. As always, I haven't been in there to check on the crash damage yet to see what people have got to say, but now that I've seen it, I can go and look and see what the lay of the land is, and see what everybody else has got to say about all of this. And you can leave us your review too through SpeakPipe as well. Your reviews, your opinions, your suggestions, and your predictions as well for the rest of the season and that long-term future of Doctor Who. Head over to SpeakPipe and get involved. Leave us a message. This is Type 40 Live on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook as always. These are bonus live streams to top off your Saturday, to put a prick in your wing. No, a pin, not a prick. To put a pin. Actually, I think I was probably right the first time. To put a pin in your weekend here as a bit of a marker. So even if you haven't seen the episode yet, you can come back to it and see whether you agreed with us or not. There's lots more live streams too, just like this one. And for better or worse, here on the playlists. So, for example, there was our deep dive into the Season 7 Blu-ray box set there. That was a laugh. We've got our regular early editions too, where we look at the ratings and the gossip and generally have a bit of a chinwag. Our regular Thursday Big Who's, where we dig out the Doctor Who diary and run through the canon, as well as look at what's happening in the Whoniverse that week, and special tribute editions too, when it's a big birthday, for example, of a Doctor Who personality from behind or in front of the camera, like our all-time edition celebrating the 80th birthday of Graham Harper just a few weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. And don't forget the Type 40 podcast too, out on the podcatcher of your choice, or at type40.podbean.com. All that and more, Doctor. Where can you fit in Doctor Who itself with so much Type 40 goodness? That's the question, but there is another one coming next week. Lucky day. Will it be our lucky day or lucky night? It depends on when you watch it, Luke. You watch these over breakfast, don't you, mate? Are you going to jump right on this one too? You're looking forward to next Saturday already?
No, I'm in Ireland. We're taking Hooligans.
No, I forgot.
Yeah, we're taking Hooligans, the web series we've edited into a feature film, and it's been nominated over in Ireland at the May the 4th Film Festival. So we're going to Achto. We're going to Achto, Port McGee. I think Brant is for the best feature film, which it's not even a feature film, but now it is. Best actor, best actress, best screenwriting. And as far as I'm aware, it's quite hard to watch Doctor Who in Ireland. because BBC and Disney have just forgot about it. So we're all it looks like we're going to miss it, unfortunately. So it'll be a case of either we're going to VPN it.
Plus or iPlayer.
Not in Ireland, no. Not in Ireland. I think it's on. I think only recently they just showed season 1 on RTE, from what I can gather from speaking. Yeah.
Please pirate me.
Yeah, so they have got BBC in certain places in Ireland, but just certain places. So yes, I know, Lee, unlucky me. So I'm not going to watch it. I won't see it, but I'll be drunk with Jonathan Carley, who was the War Doctor, and all the other wonderful Hooligans cast, and I Made the Time Machine cast, getting drunk on an island with
all the usual reprobates,
with some Jedis,
With
some Jedis.
Watching Doctor Who, getting drunk on an island with reprobates. Get drunk on an island with reprobates.
Absolutely.
And you can always rely on us, Luke. If you're in a semi-conscious state, you'll find, sadly, there will be spoilers. Type 40 Live will be your companion to the new season, for better or worse, with no party lines, no beef, no bullshit. Just the very best news, views, nostalgia, discussions, and banter here. And at 8 p.m. on Mondays and Thursdays too, you'll get our preview of Lucky Day itself, as well as another reaction video coming next weekend as well. Okay, what else is going on as we head off? Thank you everybody for coming onto the show. Chris, when you've recorded your video already, so it's cooking, as you say. When does it premiere? When can people get the latest slice of Bowls Trek in their life? When's that coming?
Well, the voiceover is recorded. Then I get to edit it. Then I get the fun of going through the episode for a third time to get screen caps. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's just going to be the high point of my week. Then I publish it. Then I get lovely comments on the YouTubes because people love me. Then at least a few people will make a video calling me bad names about my video. So that'll be fun.
Our chat loves you, Chris. Look at this. Look at this affection and respect.
Oh, thanks everybody. It makes me less depressed after my day. So yeah, it's it'll be up at some point tomorrow. That'll be fun. And spoilers, it does not get any better on the second watch. I can say that pretty much for a fact. How many of these episodes do I have left in?
There are
God damn it.
5.
5 more.
Yeah, 5.
5 more weeks of this. Weekends are supposed to be a fun
plus
time.
a mini-series if you're going to do the war between the land and the sea.
That's right.
The what?
Think of
And
us-
the what?
The what?
Break it to him
War
gently,
between the
Rabbi.
land
We
and
might
the
have
sea.
to.
The what?
I don't
It's
think he's ready for that.
it's the spin-off they shot.
They
Okay.
shot a spin-off of this. Who's going to watch it? A cat?
Yeah, no, they've actually spun it off.
Why?
Okay. We'll have to tell you after the show,
Because
mate.
Busy said yes. What do you want? It's just what happened.
Well, okay. I'm not okay. If there's a spin-off of this, I am not covering it. I like my Saturdays. I have sacrificed spending 8 weekends in hell. I don't want to watch anymore. So you can have your spin-off. Show it to your cat, your audience, and then have fun. Yeah, that's.
Thanks for coming on, Chris. It's always
I
great
am
to
Bowls
catch up.
Trek, resident a-hole. That's my new tagline. Yeah, that's,
Never change, mate.
Have
Never-
a good day, everyone.
All opinions are welcome, and we are your friends. We are here for you as always. But keep your eyes tuned there to Bowls Trek, because you want to find out what he's got to say when he's let loose and letting it fly, and how his vocal cords gone into that state.
Right.
So head over to Bowls Trek to find out. Rabbi, have you streamed tonight? Are you streaming tomorrow?
I have streamed
Rabbi?
tonight, and I can still walk fine. Everything's good.
Things are
And all
looking up.
cleaned up.
Yeah, well, probably
Streamed
catch up with you
tonight
at some
and
point.
didn't
but-
get banned, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
Thank you for coming on, mate. It's great to see you. Luke Walters, Cinescope Guru. So we played the Hooligans trailer earlier on. You're off next week, off to the film festival. Best of luck with that, obviously. We're going to get you back on the early edition on Monday, I think, with Shah returning as well, or so she says. So that's going to be on. Maybe she would have sobered up by then. I can't, but even if she hasn't, it should be fun. So we'll see you on Monday for the early one. But if people want to see more of the Hooligans, we played the trailer earlier on. The link will be in the description. But where should they go for those who are eager
Just Google Hooligan Cinescope and Google it, YouTube it, and it'll come out. We've got 5 episodes out. Finale's coming out towards the end of May. The finale's about an alien that wants to destroy Doctor Who and has wiped it from existence. So that is, I know, how very apt.
Wow.
So that is, so there's 5 episodes on YouTube, a special that we originally did for the BBC as a pilot back in November 2023. Back in the day. So yeah, go watch it. And there's loads of other stuff. We've got I'm in War of the Worlds, I'm in the Time Machine, comedy sketches, short films, sci-fi, comedy, drama, documentaries about pro wrestling. You have a look on there. There's loads of stuff if you want to have a deep dive. And yeah, and there's also a vlog of me, John Carley, and Jamie in Ireland, where I make John Carley read Day of the Triffids, doing all his doctor voices. I think he doesn't do the War Doctor because Big Finish would come after me. But he does Capaldi, does Tennant, does Matt Smith. So if you want a dramatic reading of David Triffids,
I never heard anybody do a good Capaldi.
It's very good. Yeah, very good. Very, very good. Yeah. We keep every time we draw. There's one bit where we made I made War of the Worlds, and there was a little bit where he's talking directly to the camera because they're live streaming it. They're trying to recreate the Orson Welles radio broadcast, but for modern day audience via live stream. And I was off doing something else. I was off directing the other actors, and he did the entirety of the Blink speech directly down the lens for the entire crew in Tennant's voice, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And he never, and my DOP didn't record it, so I'm the only one that has not seen it, and he will not do it for me again. So
when
yes,
I interviewed them all at Hooverville, everybody from the We Sound Familiar troupe, being face to face, I was surrounded by there's 5 of them, isn't it, that make up that troupe, and they were all coming at me with various voices. And we were in the open air as well, and it was uncanny to hear. I mean, it really was, particularly Pete, who does the Chris Eccleston.
That's mental, it's mental.
He did it completely deadpan as well. It really, really was fantastic. Great guys. I have to try and get them all on the show one day. Gary, you still haven't sent me a link to your cap. I'd forgotten all about it.
I was going to say, I wanted to ask if this is the first time I've seen my Facebook buddies, the Rabbi and Chris, if they like my new hat.
I saw it when you were streaming the other day.
Yeah, make Doctor Who great again.
I liked it so much when I saw it that I just thought we'd already talked about it.
I think it's very, very nice, and I would like one of those. I could wear it, and it would make people mad, which makes me happy. So make Doctor Who great again. Yay! I need to add it to my avatar of my face review.
Chris, you need to get a cap that says "There's a spin-off" with a question mark.
You're never going to live that bit down. Okay, so Gary, thank you again for your company.
You're welcome,
You're going to bring you back on next week for the Big Who on Thursday and for the next reaction show as well. And Charlotte, you must be mad, but you're back on Monday for the early edition as well. But the joy of that, there'll be more news, more views. We'll have our ratings catch up, and there will be a few laughs in the mix as well, and our Shah coming back too. So I'll see you on Monday as well.
Yeah, it's been fun because we've sort of got on a rhythm now with those Monday shows. So they're nice, sort of different flavour of the lives, which I enjoy.
Different vibe. Look, we'll see you in the comments, everybody. My thanks to the whole of the panel, everyone who's commented so far, but keep them coming. We'll see you for the Monday show. Another week, more Doctor Who. We always have the time, if you have the space, though, here at Type 40 Live. Off we go. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Bye-bye.